These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
It's a Scoop Tuesday here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. He is our friend Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Doogs, the Timberwolves are still alive, ready to face the Dallas Mavericks here at Target Center. Let's start with Timberwolves here. Just, you've been in and around the team. You were in Denver the last trip to Denver while you were there for Game 5 in Denver. Just your general feelings and what you're hearing about this organization right now, making its deepest run in 20 years.
Well, I mean, the vibes are off the charts, right, Phil? But I give up Uncle Mercy on trying to figure out exactly what Wolves team is going to show up. I misread games 1 and 2 in Denver. I misread game 3 here at Target Center. Had a good read on game 4, although that was still a goofy game. I didn't necessarily expect Denver's bench to score as many points as it did. The Wolves missing all those free throws. We talked late last week. If the Wolves had lost to Denver, we were going to look back at game 4 and say lost opportunity. Then game 5, okay, I had a good read. I was there last Tuesday in Denver for game 5. Had a good read on that game. Then post-game, just some of the body language, even in-game. Like, I thought, like, series over. Like, I didn't know if it would be over in 6 or 7, but I didn't foresee leaving Ball Arena at 1:30 a.m. last Tuesday that we would now, this Tuesday, 1 week later, talking about game 1 of the Western Conference Finals tomorrow night at Target Center.
How much of this, Dukes, do you think is driven by a couple of things? One, Conley, because he missed game 5, and I think game 6 and 7 were a demonstration of whether he scores points or not, he is vitally important. And 2, we haven't seen a lot of guys like Ant in this sense. We usually see people affected by failure, right? Like Cat can be very affected by if things aren't going well, he becomes a bit unhinged. It's my perception that Ant is the rare athlete who never really doubts things. Things can be going haywire and he's like, hey, let's go get him. But he means it. Like you can tell a guy that means it and a guy that's trying to convince himself. How much do you think that those two dynamics are playing a role, which quite frankly, I think we as Minnesota sports fans are not familiar with?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start with Mike. In fact, I'm catching up with Mike Conley Sr., the Olympic medal track athlete from way back in the day. Remember the Foot Locker slam dunk, contests and all that? Like Mike Conley Sr., Mike Conley Jr.'s dad.
Wow.
Heck of an athlete, but is Junior now trumping all of Dad's accomplishments? So I look forward to catching up with Mike Conley Sr. later today. I will tell you, when I left Ball Arena last Tuesday, I mentioned this in my Wednesday morning Channel 5 hit, that there was optimism that Mike would be back for Game 6. Ultimately comes back for Game 6. But there was still some concern. Like, he's not Mr. Speed, Mr. Explosiveness, but even just that little acceleration. Like, how would he be impacted, right? But we really didn't see that impact come to fruition in games 6 and 7. It's the old adult in the room, something we've talked about going back months. Just his leadership when on the court. Yes, I get it. Like, he can lead from being on the bench when sitting there game 5, but it means more in game. Somebody at the free throw line, the conversations he's having with guys, Anthony Edwards, others in game. That matters. Always making the right decision. You're just not going to see the Wolves turn the ball over a lot when Mike Conley Jr. is on the court. On Ant, you're spot on, Judd. Like on Sunday, in the third quarter, at one point, he was 1 for 9 shooting. Yeah. There was a fast break. Normally, I figure he finishes it. He passed the ball to Rudy Gobert. I'm thinking, what the heck is Ant doing? Soon thereafter, he shot an air ball. I'm thinking, this just isn't Ant's night. But then I was reminded by Wolves PR, all right, this year, when Ant scores 4 or 5 points or less in the first half, the Wolves are like 8-1. It's 7-1, 8-1. It's something like that. They have a ridiculous record when Ant struggles in the first half. And yeah, he just keeps going and going. Credit to him at 22 years old for realizing, okay, let my defense try to lead to some offense. A couple steals, couple dunks. The defense on Jamal Murray in the second half on Sunday was off the charts. That's why you have to feel really, really good. I get it why the Wolves are minus 160 at the moment to beat the Mavericks, to represent the Western Conference in the finals. You have to feel good about that, their chances here in this Maverick series, because mostly, Anthony Edwards at the top of that list.
Yeah. He just feels, kind of to piggyback off what Judd was saying a couple minutes ago, he feels very comfortable with what's happening right now, which is he is slaying some of the best players in the NBA. He's getting all this national attention, and commentators and just the natural order of things in the NBA are putting him at the top of this mountain. I don't think he's quite there yet. We have to see what happens in the next, obviously, 3 to 4 weeks. But as it continues to progress and he continues to climb above the Kevin Durant's and now Nikola Jokic in this moment, it doesn't feel too big for him. It has felt too big for Jason Tatum at times. It's felt too big for other players, Joel Embiid even. Like, it doesn't feel like personality, his game, his ability to come back from a bad game. It feels very natural, Doogie, that he is sliding into this role in the NBA's pecking order.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about tiers, like, is he ascending to tier 1? Whoever is in that tier 1, but can we put Anthony Edwards safely in that tier 1? We know he's all NBA. We know he's about to get $260 million on the contract extension. We know he's going to be an all-star year in and year out. Like, that's not going anywhere, barring some sort of injury. I will offer a little blowback on Jason Tatum. I mean, it's been so many playoff games. Like, going back the last 3-4 years, how many playoff games for the Celtics? 70-something? Like, it's been so many. So, yeah, inevitably within those 70-something games, even the best are going to disappear at times. But I still think, right, like, they're probably having these same conversations in Boston. In fact, one of our dear friends, John Carter, who works for the Red Sox, he texted me the other day. All the dialogue on Boston sports radio right now is Wolves Celtics. Like, they're already looking ahead. Heck, they were looking ahead after game
Boston.
2
Be careful.
against Denver. Yeah, but already laying out the matchups, how these two teams, match up against each other. And so, everybody's kind of drifting ahead to June 6th, Thursday, June 6th. But
not here, we aren't. No, game
yeah.
1 is tomorrow night here. That's all we think about.
I still don't think this Dallas series is a layup. Maybe it's recency bias. Yesterday, I caught up with Devin Harris. Remember him, Wisconsin Badgers, longtime NBA guard, played in the NBA Finals in 2006. He's one of the Mavericks TV analysts. So I had a nice conversation with him. Then I caught up with my good buddy Sean Sweeney, who's the lead assistant for Jason Kidd. Now, hey, make no mistake, Sean was laying out, because he's the defensive coordinator for the Mavericks. He was laying out the difficulties in trying to stop this Wolves team. But hey, like, the Mavs were underdogs in the first series. They were underdogs in the second series. They embrace being the underdog. Now, hey, he also told me the Mavs dropped game 1 against the Clippers. The Mavs dropped game 1 against the Thunder. So they're trying to figure out, how can they game plan? How can they come out tomorrow night better than they have the previous game 1s?
Duke, it's still a work in progress, but how much, both nationally and locally, does the perception, or has the perception of Cat changed? Game 6, the box score is not great, but the performance is off the charts, and that's a standalone game. So a lot of people saw that. Game 7, I think if he doesn't have the first half that he has, I think that they probably lose. So, like, I mean, this is a guy who has been justifiably criticized in the past. You were wrong, and now you must apologize. He has been on a roller coaster. Don't get me started. He has been on a roller coaster of playoffs, ups and downs. But my God, I mean, in those 2 games, I don't think that you could have asked for more. And I do think that it is a huge step towards really changing how he is perceived as a player.
I mean, Judd, it was a lot of downs. I mean, Phil, you remember the numbers. What were the playoff numbers entering April 20th? So before game 1 against Phoenix, was it 16 playoff games for Cat? Mm-hmm. Do I have that number about right? 16 playoff games? And really, if you look at the box scores from those 16 plus just eye test, whatever, recall those 16 games, he was a dud in half. Like 8 of them. Mm-hmm. Like, completely stunk.
Yep.
Now we go back the last 11 playoff games, the 4 against Phoenix, the 7 against Denver. Would you say really good in 8, 9? I mean, I'm putting into play here the defense too. The defense on KD, the defense on Jokic. Yeah, foul trouble here, foul trouble there. But over these last 11 games, really darn good. In like 8, I think I can stretch it to 9. Like, he's been that good. Judd, I'm with you. Without his performance, now, hey, if you want to give credit to Jaden McDaniels too, fine.
Yeah,
rightfully so. But they don't win that game on Sunday without Cat keeping them in that game to keep the deficit at 15. It could have easily been 20 or 22 or 24 without the way Cat played in the first half. Cat has been phenomenal. We all have recognized going back to middle of the year, heck, 2 weeks into the start of the year, the Cat's defense, right? More than anything else, 9 years into his career, this is by far the best defense he has ever played.
It is. I mean, the things that going back to the 15 or 6, whatever it was, 16 games before this run, the things that we in particular criticized him the most for, and I'll just speak for myself, were foul trouble way too often. And I'm not talking about you pick up a 5th foul in the 4th quarter foul trouble. I mean 2 fouls early, now you're sitting, and then instant 3rd foul, and now you play 7 minutes in the first half or whatever it is. That happened. Early foul trouble happened a lot. I think him trying to go hero mode, 1-on-1 or 1-on-2, barreling into traffic without leveraging his position to make the right pass, that was far too frequent. And then just the emotion stuff where he would just get outside of his head and his body, and he would a bad call would derail him for a long chunk of games. He has drastically reduced or eliminated all 3 of those things for the majority of these playoffs. And that last game, the first half in particular, like you guys were saying, how many times did he, with poise, have a smaller defender on him? Okay, Jamal Murray's on me. I'm going to shoot over him, or I'm going to wait for the double, then make the right pass. He's processing it better and faster. And there's little moments here and there, but he's just been a much more complete and steady version of himself. And he, as much as he deserved the criticism in the previous years, he deserves the praise. And the defense, well, Jokic scored 35, but he's making it harder. You're not going to get him every night, but he made, and look at Jokic by the end of that series, by the end of that game, I mean, hands on knees, it's exhausting just going up against these 7-foot bodies, and Cat was at the forefront of that. So, and Durant in the first round, man.
Amen. I mean, if we're awarding a team MVP for Sunday or an individual MVP, I mean, I guess team-wise, it's just the defense, right? When Denver scores 32 points, only 32 points in the final 22 minutes, right? Overall, it's the defense. But if we had to award an individual MVP for Sunday, it's Karl-Anthony Towns. Now you think about this series. I'm just telling you, in my conversation with Sean Sweeney yesterday, a lot of talk about Karl-Anthony Towns. You think about PJ Washington. Okay, PJ Washington is playing his best basketball. So give PJ Washington credit. Give Dallas credit for that acquisition at the trade deadline. But that, to me, is as favorable a matchup as the Wolves have. Derrick Jones Jr. is really, really good. Dallas got him on a minimum deal. As good a signing, maybe Kelly Oubre Jr. in this boat too, but as good a minimum signing as there was last offseason. Derrick Jones Jr. has been so good for the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, Ant is going to get his, but that is a tough matchup for Anthony Edwards. For Karl-Anthony Towns, the smaller PJ Washington on him, Cat should have many opportunities to go to work starting tomorrow night.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin Garnett went on Stephen A. Smith's show. I don't know if it was his podcast or First Take, but he was on with Stephen A. Smith yesterday. I saw the clip, and Stephen A. basically said, "Hey, you gonna get to a game here, buddy?" and Kevin said or hinted very strongly in his answer that he is now that the Wolves are in the Western Conference Finals. What is the current relationship standing between Kevin and the organization? We know his problems with Glenn. We also know, and at least I have heard, that Alex has made a lot of inroads. Alex Rodriguez sort of trying to rebuild that relationship. So do you think he shows up at Target Center, not in Dallas, at Target Center? And how would you characterize the current standing of Kevin Garnett and the Timberwolves?
Well, I mean, you hit it on the head, Phil. It's Alex Rodriguez. And to some extent, Mark Lowry. Give those guys credit for working on that relationship. Now, Kevin isn't going to forget, right? As long as Glenn Taylor is present, that's a tough one to completely fix. But if Glenn is out of the picture, I think that relationship Wolves with KG is very, very fixable. Now, I will tell you, as of last night, the Wolves are not aware of Kevin Garnett making plans to be here tomorrow night. So maybe it's Friday or maybe it's game 5, presuming a game 5. I did text with KG's buddy Jimmy Jam yesterday, just wondering if Jimmy Jam will make it to town, just because I want to say hi to him. If he'll be here Wednesday and or Friday. He's got some other stuff going on, so he can't make it. He was in Denver, but he can't make it for games 1 and 2. But if it does get to a game 5 and or a game 7, Jimmy's schedule is a little bit more open then. So as of now, like as far as I know, there are no definitive plans for KG to be here. But it was interesting where he did tell Stephen A. Smith, I'm paraphrasing slightly, Phil, but it was like, I need to make plans. Like I need to get plans in place, not only to be in Minnesota, but to be in Boston. I just wonder, too, does he wait until the NBA Finals? And is it watching the Wolves in Boston, not at Target Center?
I think, Doogs, that you might have just now, the greatest name drop in Scoop history with Jimmy Jam. Like you're
here, I'll read you the exact text because you'll love the reasoning. Yeah, you'll love this. You ready for this?
Okay.
Hey, Doogie, unfortunately, games 1 and 2 are probably out due to the schedule for the TV show Unprisoned that just got picked up for another season and it premieres in July. I already pushed the schedule back to attend last night. This was yesterday, so he attended Sunday night in Denver. So I'm in catch-up mode today and for the week. Hopefully can make game 5 or game 7. Yeah, I mean, just, you do this long enough, you get to know enough people. So Jimmy's as good a person as there is. So I was curious. But how about that? He's so busy with a TV show, and he's already pushed things back. Like he's in control of the TV show. That's why he can't be here this week.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, we got more scoops here, more in Doogie's Scoops bag to get to, but it is landscaping season out there, and Bachman's is here. Let's talk about trees specifically. If it were me and we decided, let's say my wife and I decided, okay, we're going to up our landscaping game, and we've decided we need more shade, we need more trees for the backbone of the landscaping project. My next question would be, okay, where do we start? What types of trees? Are we talking fruit trees, flowering trees, ornamental trees, evergreens? I have no idea. So I would walk into one of the 7 Bachman's locations in the Twin Cities and talk to one of their many experts, very friendly people. By the way, right now, 20% off container shrubs and trees and 15% off pallets of mulch for the area around your trees and around your landscaping. Plus, they will deliver mulch to your home. Bachman's has it all. It's not just flowers, guys. Everything for your landscaping needs, you can find at Bachman's, Minneapolis, Apple Valley, Eden Prairie, Plymouth, Fridley, Maplewood, and Cedar Acres, Lakeville. Also, our Twins could use some fan help when they come home. They could use some positivity from you fans out there, and you can get your tickets at twins.com/tickets. It's been a struggle. Hopefully they can put a couple wins under their belt and salvage that 12-game winning streak. But when they come back home here, you can get tickets, twins.com/tickets. You know what? And I'll say this, even when they're not playing all that well, it's the best bar in the Twin Cities. Just show up to Target Field, roam around for a few hours, baseball in the background. Carlos Correa is still a fun watch. Byron Buxton's back in center field. So twins.com/tickets. Okay, Dukes, anything else in your scoop bag here? Wolves related, or can we go to it's Vikings OTAs? Justin Jefferson's been spotted a couple different interesting places. Where do you want to go here?
Well, on the Wolves, so my newsroom tells me tickets that were made available for games 1 and 2 yesterday sold out in about 15 minutes. I know a lot of people who were in queue who just failed, right? It was so hard to land tickets. That just tells you how much of a demand there is to be there, especially for game 2. Like I heard, like the get-in price on Friday night, a weekend night, is ridiculously high, right? It is very much a seller's market, but even to land tickets for tomorrow night's game 1, incredibly difficult. And the Wolves will wear the same jerseys they wore in games 6 and 7. So Locker Vision, if you Google NBA Locker Vision, there's actually a website that pretty much nobody knows about. Thankfully, an equipment guy I know pointed me in this direction that these teams have to put into a database. This website is pretty much like the place that everybody checks. It's got access to the actual database where these teams put in, okay, what jerseys we are wearing. The home team picks a jersey, then the road team needs to pick an alternate jersey, so it can't be the same color is what I'm saying. So anyway, the Wolves will go with the classic edition for games 1 and
it.
2. Now, if you go to Locker Vision, if you go to that website, you will see they will actually mix up, though, for games 3 and 4 in Dallas. So Sunday and next Tuesday, games 3 and 4, they will go with a different jersey, not the classic edition.
Okay.
On the Vikings.
And on the Vikings, I mean,
yeah.
it's voluntary, right? I mean, Justin Jefferson is following the same script as he did last year. Doesn't need to be there. Won't be there. Yeah, we do get some media access later today, but I don't anticipate seeing number 18 on the field. Do I think he'll be here for the mandatory minicamp like last year? I would bet yes. Do I still foresee a contract extension happening? I think more so July. Like, I don't think anything is on the cusp, but my understanding is the two sides, I mean, like, it's not like there's bitterness, right? I mean, it's not like they're talking daily, but there's been enough dialogue. Like, I still foresee, I've said it for a while, it almost got done on September 9th, going back to last year. I still absolutely foresee the contract extension getting done.
So there was a report, I think it broke yesterday, that Justin Jefferson was spotted in Florham Park, New Jersey. Now, people were like, well, that's where the Jets train. Oh, my God, what's up? But more importantly, it's very close to where the Wilfs live. And my guess is it had far more to do with the Wilfs than the Jets possibly tampering and being in huge trouble. What do you know about that? And it would make sense that with the size of this contract, it makes some sense that he might go see them towards the end. Because the one thing I will say about this entire thing is, one, I think unlike a year ago, if I'm the Vikings, I want him there for as much of the OTAs as I can get, because it's not Kirk coming back, it's two new quarterbacks. And secondly, the mandatory mini camp, my concern is he would show up but not participate, because the reality is, if I'm him or his reps, I don't think I'm taking a field again until that contract is signed.
Which is fair. I mean, to me, it really doesn't ramp up until, day 4 of training camp when the pads come on. But I get just being around Darnold, just new quarterback. I understand that. Where is Justin Jefferson's agent/agency located? So, I mean, I think that plays a role as well, that there is a connection there to the New York City metropolitan area. So, yes, I get what you're saying about, hey, the Wilfs are out in that direction, but certainly his representation is also out in that direction.
Interesting.
I still foresee it getting done. Now, could it get done in the next, I don't know, week or 2 or 3? Maybe. Like I'm telling you, it's going to get done. I just can't tell you the exact date. I was told a handful of months ago, just look toward, the start of training camp. But could it get done before the mandatory mini camp? Maybe. Like, I'm not ruling that out. I'm just telling you, like, I don't hear anything that suggests it's not going to get done. I just can't tell you exactly when it's going to get done.
Okay.
The Vikings put out their annual YouTube sort of behind the scenes look at the draft video. This one was an 18-minute look behind the curtain. In years past, they've done like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. So they did pretty much the whole draft, and they took you behind the curtain. JJ McCarthy, all the draft picks kind of sat down after the fact too. But I think the main headlines out of the YouTube video, and we will talk about this on Purple Daily today. Number one, Kwesi did confirm once again that the quarterback plan was a 2-year process. And if you look, the last contract Kirk signed was 2 years ago, 2022. And then I think the other thing was just how shocked and fired up the Vikings were that Dallas Turner was available. Brian Flores on camera said, I'm not a big smile guy, but I've been smiling a lot since we drafted Dallas Turner. So,
yeah,
then by the Kwesi loved the lineman. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wake Forest kid?
Yeah, Juergens. Yeah, he loved Juergens.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a little undersized, but he has a chance, I suppose. But, like, they really thought, like, you go through a million different scenarios. I'm not sure they went through a scenario where Dallas Turner fell all the way to the mid-teens. Like, they were convinced Atlanta was taking him at 8. One thing the Vikings, hey, like, they felt good that the Giants weren't going to pull the trigger on JJ McCarthy. They read the draft board pretty darn well, all things considered. The one thing they did not factor in was Dallas Turner falling, that the Atlanta Falcons would actually go quarterback in the first round.
And that was huge, because the incredible thing is, if you looked at the Falcons depth chart, Dallas Turner was the guy they needed. Like when you sign Kirk, it's like, okay, we've opened a window. What's the next chip, right? Because this defense is not that good. So it was tremendous. I did find it funny though, as the draft unfolded and the first defensive player was finally taken, that O'Connell's like, is that the first defensive player? Which is what we all said. And I love that the head coach of the Vikings said the exact same thing is, I'm an offensive guy, and this appears ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they fell in love with Dallas. I mean, they loved everything that they had experienced pre-draft, right? But it really elevated when they were able to get him here, right? Because there was a scenario that they sort of factored in that, okay, maybe Atlanta passes. Maybe he's still there on the board at 11. They didn't think he'd be on the board at 17. But, hey, if we can't find a way to move up or J.J. McCarthy starts to fall, right, we can't get up for Drake May. Okay, like, would we be comfortable taking Dallas Turner at 11? Now, they would have. So they were able to convince Dallas's representation, hey, come on in for a visit. So they bring Dallas in April 7, April 8. I was told, like, the love for Dallas, it went up even more. Like, they loved him before that, but everything they thought about Dallas was affirmed April 7th and 8th when he was at TCO Performance Center. They fell even more in love. I'm telling you, they are thrilled that Dallas Turner is a Viking.
Yeah. And you got to see the actual reaction, not just the meme of Kevin O'Connell realizing they were trading up for Dallas Turner, which was worth it alone of, really? And just the eyeballs lighting up and it's honestly looked like it's not the best comparison to make from individual to individual, but the Vince McMahon gif of him doing the evil smile and it was the exact same reaction from Kevin O'Connell.
Continue to hear that Dalton Reisner would like to be back. You know, he's got the new representation, Drew Rosenhaus. So, you know, Drew's got enough clients here now, you know, especially after free agency with Van Ginkel, Grenard, right? So, you know, Rosenhaus has been trying to work it, but I just haven't seen or heard of the Vikings like aggressively nibbling there. Like maybe eventually, but like the contract they gave Brandel, like I don't think, I mean, they at least want to see Blake out there for some stretches here, whether it's just OTAs or the mini camp, or maybe they wait until, you know, early August, mid-August, right? But I just haven't heard of any like legit steam that, you know, like Reisner's going to end up back here. Maybe eventually, but just nothing in the moment.
Yeah. Before we get to the emptying of Doogie's scoop bag here, just a shameless plug for Flagrant Howls, our Timberwolves-centric podcast.
Nice work with that, boys.
It's up to 7th on the national Apple basketball podcast charts today, which is pretty wild. So thank you guys. It's the top local. All the other ones are national. It's like Paul Pierce or KG and Paul Pierce,
George.
Paul George.
How dare Paul George be ahead of you? Come on.
Yeah, I know. We're ahead of KG though today. So thank you guys for that. We have all sorts of fun new Wolves related swag at scorenorth.com/shop. You can find that's scorenorth.com/shop. And Craig Kilborn was on the show yesterday. Judd and I are doing post-game live streams from Target Center after games 1 and games 2. Both Jim Pete and Michael Grady are going to join Kyle Tigey and I today. So Flagrant Howls, check it out. It's the place to be for playoff Timberwolves discussion. Doogie, another minute or two left here. What else is left in your scoop bag for us?
All right, well, let me offer clarity on something we brought up late last week. So in the moment when I said it, I'm like, oh, you know what? I should probably fact check that, right? It's like Tony Reale on PTI, corrections at the end. So I'm offering a correction now that Laurie and Rodriguez did pay for the owner's suite at Target Center. And it was soon after their media tour that included a conversation with me that things did shift. So I guess one positive from all the slinging that happened in late March was initially there was documentation that, okay, like Mark, Alex, like you can't have any dialogue with Tim Conley. You can't be in the suite, this, that, right? But it flipped like snap of the finger. So those guys, all limited partners, have as much access as they want. I did check again yesterday. Do we have a start date for arbitration? No, not quite yet. So this thing is still going to stretch out long enough. So we'll continue to say if the Wolves end up hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy mid-June, whether at Target Center or, to me, Boston beats Indiana. So in Boston at the Garden, whatever the corporate name is, there on the north end of downtown Boston, that it will be Glenn Taylor being handed the Larry O'Brien trophy, not Mark Laurie or Alex Rodriguez. I'm trying to figure out if I have anything else. This was new to me. Maybe this has been out there. This is very random, but there's a really good pitcher in Korea or Japan. I can't even remember his name, but he's lights out. He's like the next big thing, right? He's going to get one of these $200 or $300 million contracts. So I was just curious the other day when I saw some video, somebody tagged me on Twitter. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember the name. Let me do some digging. So I found this out. So the Twins used to have a full-time scout in Japan. That scout now works for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Twins never replaced him. So they are doing all scouting work over there via video and analytics. So that to me was interesting that the Twins don't have an actual
That's how they found
person.
They watch like YouTube highlights of Nishioka in 2009. This guy's great.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting because we know that Falvey, Levine, they've added so many bodies, including on the analytical side. We get that, but even just scouts and just everything, right? Just the manpower they have in that front office compared to 2009, it's night and day. But it did strike me as interesting that they did not replace David Kim, who did work for them over in Japan, that region of the world.
Yeah, Darren Doogie Wolfson, everyone.
All right, Declan, what's wrong with your Twins? Longest losing streak in what, 6 years?
Yeah, it's bad. If
players
if you,
only meeting last night, I mean, geez.
Yeah, if you can only hit one pitch and the pitch is mostly straight and you can't hit anything else, that's a problem. And I don't really think that goes down to players. I think that's a philosophy problem. So good luck trying to get that, because yesterday you got no fastballs and you just got buckled the entire time by the Washington Nationals.
I will tell you, Carlos Correa loves David Popkins. So, if you're suggesting philosophy and it's the time to change the hitting coach, just telling you, if they run it up the flagpole of Correa, he's going to offer resistance.
Super interesting dynamic right now at Target Field.
Well, how about just the season, right? I mean, you win 12, but then you have all these long losing streaks. I mean, Declan, you probably know the numbers better than I, but okay, so 12-game winning streak, but losing streaks of what? 7, 5?
5 and 7 for sure. I mean, they started 6 and 13, and there was a 17 of 20 wins in there, and now there's 7 straight losses. So yes, very streaky, very, very streaky roller coaster ride, baby.
Yeah.
I am pumped to watch my guy, though. I actually can watch. Thank you, DirecTV. Pumped to watch my guy, Jake Irvin of Bloomington, start against the Twins tomorrow.
I'm on my way.
Coming over. DirecTV?
I'm coming over.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Yeah, no. I'll lay out the red carpet. Unlike you, right?
Dude,
like I had to
showed up at my door, knocked on it.
in.
I let you in. What more could you want?
It did work out. That was a hell of a golfer game, too, right? That was Pac-12 Network. So you have Pac-12 Network. Do you still have Pac-12 Network? But you don't have the Twins games.
Yeah, that's right.
Judd can watch anything Oregon State related. Well, not
No,
anymore.
the Pac-12's dead.
Yeah.
No, the Pac-12's dead. That's
but
right.
Is the network still broadcasting? Or
Who
are they done
knows?
too?
I don't know.
Great
That was the one time I watched it, to be honest.
Classic Pac-12 highlights. All right,
Dude
dude.
told me.
We got to go. We'll see you later this week.
We'll talk on Thursday. Sounds good, boys.
Right.
Take it easy.
Minnesota Sports
Enjoy tomorrow.
With Mackey and Judd.